Welcome to the Food for Thought podcast. Today's show, Imperialism or Impartiality. What's really going on in high school basketball officiating? Today we have guest Patrick Kelley, aka PK, 20-year plus seasoned veteran of officiating basketball here in the Quad City area, now in the sunny state of Arizona. Enjoy the show. Hey! What's going on, my bald head vanilla brother from another mother? PK, Patrick Kelley on the line with us here, Food for Thought, folks. How you doing?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here you go. Mm-hmm. Here you go. See,
another bald head guy.
You
another one? He's bald head. He's bald too?
Another one.
Man, I'm surrounded by... This is a second week in a row. I'm outnumbered.
I'm follically challenged.
Wow.
Wow. Man, we appreciate you taking time off your busy schedule, man, to call in for our show.
Anything for you.
Oh, man, God bless you, brother. You all right. You all right. I don't care what Gant said about you. You all right.
I don't care what he says either. I tell him that all the time.
Man, so here it is. We're talking about imperialism or impartiality. What's really going on in high school basketball officiating? So, PK, tell the viewers, man, a little bit about your credentials, man, and what you bring to the table with today's conversation.
Okay. Obviously, I've been refereeing high school basketball for close to 25 years. I started in 1996. I want to say close to 20 years there in the Quad Cities, and then I uprooted my family and moved to Arizona, East Valley back in 2018, and been here ever since.
That's right. And we're actually sipping on Arizona tea today. My man Silk over here got the herbal tonic, and I got the raspberry flavored iced tea today. Unofficial sponsor of Food for Thought.
I'm telling you, this herbal tonic, I don't know, they must have liquefied some crack and drop a couple drops in here or something.
It's lovely.
Man,
it's a good beverage. Good beverage.
Run and get another one. Quick
liquefied gold.
Man,
it's something. Awesome, man. It'll keep you going, PK. So, man,
right.
You know, we've seen you officiate, man. For me, man, one of the reasons why we got you on the show, along with the other official, you know your boy, Daryl Smith.
That's not his name. His name is Durrell.
Durrell
is his name.
Durrell.
Yeah, my bad.
Durrell.
We had Big Durrell on here.
Duryl.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, PK.
Or you can say Darly.
Or you can go with PK. Thank you.
Do you like the DU?
Durrell.
Yeah. So, man, we had your counterpart on there, man, and from what I'm understanding, you guys have a little bit of a following and a bond. Can you tell us about that, you and Daryl?
Oh, I'd love to, because my love for officiating started because of Daryl, but it was back in 96, I want to say. It was the year 96, early 96, during Mother's Day weekend. St. Ambrose had their college graduation at the same time, and my sister graduated from Ambrose. So on that same day was Mother's Day, and we went to Outback Steakhouse for a little family dinner after the graduation. And Daryl happened to be our waiter. I had never seen him, never met him, did not know who he was, but he was waiting tables at that time, and he was very great. You know, he was awesome. He was we loved him. He was very personable, and it just so happens, I want to say it was a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month later, the Quad City Times Hoop Fest was in town, and I was sitting around bored on a Saturday afternoon, and I drove over and just watched a little bit of basketball because I had played the previous years, and I was just standing there talking to a couple buddies of mine, Terrence McGinnis being one of them, and Daryl was refereeing their game at the time, and I just made a mention to him about how talented he was, and he must have all the talents because he was waiting tables and refereeing basketball, and one thing led to another, and we had a little conversation in between games, and he pretty much talked me into taking the test.
Wow.
So he was all about blooming onions and pushing off.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, man.
Blooming onions and technical foul.
That's talent. Yeah. That's talent right there. That's what's up, man. So, but, you know, Daryl exposed you to the hoop game and you love the game yourself and playing, but what actually prompted you, man, to put on the black and white stripes, grab your whistle and your black sneaks and hit the court, though?
Because that's a job, and that's tough.
It's not only a job; it's a thankless job.
Yes,
it is.
So I think with basketball officiating, it's probably consistent over the board, and some people might not agree with me, but my fiance at the time was pregnant with my first child at that time, and I honestly got involved to start with for the money, the extra money, the cash on the side, and I'm like, okay, I guess I could use a little extra money. Let's see what this is all about. Well, it was nice. The money was nice because when you first start off, you don't just go referee a varsity basketball game when you're first year refereeing. You gotta, like anything else, you gotta build up to that. You gotta prove that you know what you're doing, and you gotta study the book, and you gotta know the rules, and you gotta know this and that, and you gotta get some games under your belt and you gotta have thick skin, obviously. And I already had that. So
and that progression includes like grade school and then junior high and then like freshman, and then you kind of work your way up.
It does, and I'll tell you this: I was very fortunate at that time because, kind of like we are now in today's society, we're hurting. The officiating world is hurting for people to get out there and do it. And at that time, they were hurting for officials. So the paying my dues didn't last as long as it would have 10 years later, like in 2006.
Okay.
And paying your dues probably wouldn't last as long right now if somebody decided they want to put on the stripes, because officiating numbers are so far down that
COVID.
It wouldn't, it would just, just so many things. COVID, for me, from what I've seen and who I've talked to, people that come in 2 or 3 years, you get past 2 years, you can be a referee. It's them first 2 years of listening to people who are your parents, fans, people that, those are the people that without that thick skin, that can't hear that can't separate that. And they take it home with them, and it's personal, and you got to be able to separate that.
Most definitely.
And I think the numbers are down because people don't want to have to put up with what they have to do, what they have to put up with in today's world.
What's the going rate though? A game, say, for high school, or what was it then? I should say
when you jumped in the game.
So when I jumped in, I really don't. If I remember correctly, it was like $45 for a sophomore game, and it was like $65 for a varsity game, and you would get anywhere between 15 and 20 per game, like on a weekend tournament where the AAU tournaments where they don't stop the clock and you just do 20-minute half.
What's that website?
So obviously Quincy was paying $100 if they got a portion of the foul calls.
Wow. That's food for thought. That just happened.
That might be a semi-true comment.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Come on, you don't get no calls.
But I don't think I ever, in all my years working back there, even the 3 or 4 years that I did work in the Big Six, I don't think I ever worked a game at Quincy. And if I did, it was one time. I worked them at Moline on the road, at Rocky, at Moline. Because I had specific. I didn't want to travel, so I was like, if you can't keep me local, I pretty much don't want to do it. Which is the main reason I never ventured into a lot of college basketball, because I didn't really want to travel. I had young kids.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, man, tell us, PK, when. Boy, we're just gonna dive and get into it, man. Do you believe? Real talk. One of the questions that I think our viewers and Silk and I, we've been talking all basketball season. Do you believe that, you yourself as an official, do you think that there is both imperialism, basically folks that have an agenda and a narrative, and they impose their will to control the game, in addition to what really should be going on in officiating, that level of impartiality? I
do believe that. Yeah.
Please, man, and you got 25 years. You a silver century, quarter of a century cat. Share with us some of your experience on that, man. Have you seen some imperialism with some referees?
I have, and my definition of that might be just a little bit different, but I've seen the lack of or the abuse of power. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I've seen guys, and I've witnessed it. I've been on the floor with it. Not so much back there as I have here. But back there in Iowa, I worked pretty much with the same crew all the time. And when it wasn't us three, it was, our fill-ins were pretty consistent with, with Rodney Tatum and with Paul, the late Paul Keitel, God bless his heart.
Bless him, good official.
When one of the guys I couldn't work with weren't there, we were pretty consistent with our fill-in. So on the floor as much as there, no, because the last 10 to 12 years I worked there, I was pretty consistent working with the same guys all the time. And I didn't see that during that time. But I seen it in observance. And I do think that, there are particular individuals that abuse the power.
Yeah, we trust and believe. We see it.
I'll go one further. They abuse the power, and I think they get personally involved and too much involved, and they let personal feelings get in the way, and you can't do that. I mean, it's just
that's right.
At least
if you're not, you've got to stay home if you can't put up with what you're going to have to put up with in doing it.
Yeah.
You just can't. Those guys, they just shouldn't be out there. There's a lot of guys that should be. I've always said this about a referee. Maybe about 5 years in, I compared officials to police officers in the fact that there's good ones and there's bad ones. God bless their heart for all of them trying to do it, but there's some of them that should not be doing it.
Right. So
it's a simple statement.
That is simplistic to the fact. I mean, police officials officiating. I mean, they are, sworn to do a job. I mean, I don't think that you guys take any type of oath before you get your stripes. But I mean, if there was something in which that, let's say PK was head official, is there anything, man, that you would do to kind of restructure or change the way the game is being officiated by, your fellow Pizzos? Is there anything that you yourself think that could be done, man, to make it more of an impartial playing field when it comes to blowing the whistle out there?
There's certain things that I wish, but do I think it's possible? No, because everybody sees the game differently. You're gonna have players. You're gonna have ex-players that get out there and are not gonna. A good example is if I'm refereeing and I'm on the baseline. That's the lead official, the guy down underneath the basket. He's the lead.
Okay.
The trail official is we're talking about something in a 3-man crew. Mm-hmm. The trail official is the guy up close to the bench, or the obviously the trail, and then you got the center slot person. Well, I might let something go as the lead official down below. I might let it go. I might okay, play on. I thought he was vertical. Maybe when I see it on film, I can see it. I'll look at it later. But at this point in time, I swallowed and I didn't blow the whistle. Now we go down to the other end, and that same official that now is the new lead, right, and I'm the trail, has that same play down below, and he does make the call. Everybody looks at the game differently. So that would be the first thing I would try to address is, hey, we need to be calling these games. We need to be consistent. We need to be on the same page, and that's part of that's part of your pregame. You should be talking about that in your pregame. Look, guys, let's make sure that if we're calling this on this end, that we're calling it on the other end, and if we're not calling it on this end, that we are not calling it on the other end.
Now,
you just got to get on the same page.
Do you have a chance to do that on the fly when that stuff happens? And when you do for a timeout and you guys are talking amongst yourselves, like, hey man, that one, I don't know. I didn't call it. I didn't call it. Now we got to be consistent out here. Now let's fix it now. Do those types of conversations happen with the crew?
They do. You'll see it during timeout. They'll get together and put their hands over their mouth and they'll be like, hey, did you see anything there? Did you? Right. Yeah, I seen something. Maybe you should have had a call there, but you know what? I don't really, because you want to support your peers at the same time. So So you don't say, you don't want to say, hey, look, man, you missed that. You might say that at halftime or something like that, or after the game in your post game or something like that. But during the game, you're building each other up. Like, yeah, maybe if we've seen that again, we might call it something different. But as for right now, just keep calling what you see, and let's just try to be consistent. Let's just try to be consistent on both ends. That's something you might walk away saying under your breath to them too, with your hand hidden so people can't lip read.
Right. PK, I think you would be very proud of your peers back here. I just last week saw Iowa City High and Davenport West at West. And I would say the game was officiated very well. They allowed them to play as long as the true ebb and flow of the game was not impeded. Okay. And the core, the group, the three officials would come together. If there was anything questionable, they would stop play. What I loved is they even were giving explanations to the coaching staff and letting the coaching staff know, hey, this is what I saw. This was going. You could tell by the gestures and actually coaching the coach on what the player did. This is the reason why I called this blocking foul. And I've seen them do that with the players. And in terms of being impartial versus a level of imperialism, I haven't seen that with some of these other suspect crews, that it appears as if they're trying to come to the scorer's table, check in the game, and get their own stats and take over the game.
Yeah, they make it about them. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to be in, and that's a very good point. You got to be invisible. I don't want nobody to know I was there.
Should not impact the game at all. Should not impact the game at all, right?
Yeah. I totally agree, but I also think that we as officials are put in positions sometimes where we have to stand out. We have to control it before it gets out of hand. And the next thing you know, you're calling a foul that you might not have called last night because you don't know how it's going to escalate for the two teams that are on the floor at the time. If there's bad blood, if there's already been a flagrant foul somewhere, you got to sometimes you just got to come in and tighten in. And you might call 8 fouls in a quarter, but you're also making sure that any bad blood or heat is not escalating because you're trying to stay on top of it.
Yes,
I'm gonna put 10 on 20. On Todd's comment about the officiating, what'd you say, Iowa City West? And
it was Iowa City West and West. I know exactly where you're going.
So that for me is telling, because the perception has long been that at the end of the day, it's Iowa basketball for us in Illinois, and even more so for people in the suburbs and in Chicago. They feel downstate is just one level above Iowa basketball. And what I mean by that is you're going to have 20 fouls by halftime, whereas the suburbs and the city, they let them play.
Let them go.
So when you say, hey, they were letting them play, that caught my attention. I was like, oh.
Yeah, they were.
Because perception is you might have 25 fouls in the first half for Iowa basketball.
Hand check. You looked at them funny.
Yep. And I'll tell you, across the board, the NFHS is high on the hand check. So, I mean, they remind you before almost every week you get a letter, you get an email saying, too many hand checks are going on and not getting called. Too many hand checks are going on and not getting called. You'll see 15 of those emails in during a season, especially here.
So that was one of my questions for you. Is there accountability for referees, or is there? You're mentioning emails. Is that really the only form of accountability? Like, say, if a ref just underperformed, obviously.
No, not at all. There's, nowadays you got everybody filming stuff, and you got max prep, which I would say 90% of schools are taping their games and sending it into max prep.
Yep.
So there, like if a commissioner or somebody high up at the state wants to watch the game that you refereed last night to see if you're worthy of working the state tournament, they'll just sit there and watch you. They'll watch you the whole time. So there's accountability. They'll say, hey, we don't want this guy, and I'm being totally honest, we don't want this guy on the floor because he's overweight. He can't get up and down the floor. We don't want this guy on the floor because he doesn't call the hand check foul when clearly there was 4 of them just right in front of him. And if you don't get the first one, who knows how it can escalate if you wait for the 4th one.
Yeah.
If you call a hand check foul in the first minute of a game, you're setting the stage to tell those guys, keep your damn hands off.
Right. You got to say,
keep your hands off. Move your feet. And as soon as you put your hands on them, we're going to blow the whistle.
Got to set the tone. Yep.
There you go. PK, I believe I had this conversation to you texting you while I was at the game. Didn't I question what I felt was a uniform violation by an official?
That's not a violation, though, is it really?
So to refresh you, PK, I believe there's official that I will definitely quickly put in the imperialistic category.
I'll say his name, Joe Thompson.
Thank you. That's what I love about Silk. This brother is straight transparent, and to quote him, he calls a spade a spade.
We will call a spade on food for thought.
So keeping this real, PK, first of all, I'm not even going to go into question. I'm going to go ahead and let you tell it. What is the appropriate regulated official's uniform?
Black socks, black shoes, black pants. Preferably, no, they don't. I don't know if they've regulated it to this point, but the black pants are supposed to be beltless, and a black and white striped shirt.
Beltless? What you got? You got to wear dungarees out there?
Yeah, they're actually specially made right on the official's website.
So if you can get on Amazon and find some pajamas with the feet in them, you can just cut the feet off and go out there and black. Nah, I'm just playing.
So thank you for that feedback. So we're gonna have some pictures uploaded here of official.
Does it have to be all black shoe?
Yes. No white sole.
No white bottom with a logo, with a shoe logo white. Really? I was not aware.
So PK, do you recall the Under Armour shoe that was donned by one of your cohorts, which, don't take it personal, but, he blows a whistle just like you do. So I saw him first rock some black pants, and I do believe, Silk, it was at the Moline Rocky game. Mm-hmm. He had black pants on that had the traditional Adidas 3 stripes down by the calf. Yeah. Okay, he was rocking the Adidas. Okay, the Adidas slacks. And this right here, I got a clown.
Wait a minute.
I got a clown.
He was wearing Under Armour and Adidas.
Thank you. He violated the law, rocking Adidas pants and had Under Armour kicks on.
Isn't that a man law, Mel?
That is a law. That's against the law.
I don't know what number. I think it's 12A.
Section B.
0.3, something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah. 2? Yeah, that's man law. You can't do that. So he's rocking, he's totally out of order according to your code of officiating and the uniform regulation. He's out of order in street law. You just don't mix and match, Nike and Under Armour and Adidas. You just don't do that, okay? So he's out of order all around. And his shoes.
I go along with that code. Yes.
The shoes had the white sole, the bottom of the shoe. You see him when he's going down the court.
Oh, Mel, he's killing him.
With the white shoe waving at you.
He's killing this guy.
Okay.
2017, leading into 2018 pro season was my last season officiating in the Quad Cities. That said, when I left there, we were told that we were not allowed to wear college pipe refereeing shirts. Guys still did it. We were told that we had to wear all black pants with no logos. Guys still did it. And we were told no white soles. Guys still did it. Now, that said, you're not supposed to do it, but I don't know how much it's being enforced. Does that make sense?
So this is an excellent point that I'm leading to. This is the official. The one who, correct me if I'm wrong, their first and foremost assignment on the court, player safety. A part of that, in terms of regulating the game, calling the fair on an impartial level, they enforce the rules of the game. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
So
I agree.
So with that said, if this official and others cannot adhere to the policy and the code of their own dress uniform, how in the world are they going to therefore call an impartial game? I'll wait.
Yeah, so you're
No, I agree.
You're gonna have those shoes on, but you're gonna make that kid tuck in his jersey.
Oh, and that happens all the time.
Yeah, there ain't nothing worse than being fashion police.
Imperialism.
Now, I will tell you this. I want to say I was at Muscatine High School, and I was on I was working the sideline, and I had a kid jump off the bench to check in right in front of me. And I either was going to plow this cat out, or I had to make a move. And I made a move, and I rolled my ankle and blew my shoe out. Totally blew my shoe. I mean, this was so long ago. I had the all black referee Reebok Zig. You know, the ones that look real shiny. Some guys still wear them.
The patent junks.
The patent one. The patent leather, real shiny one.
Yeah.
It just totally blew out. I mean, just gone. And so I had to go back into the locker room, and it just so happens I wore tennis shoes to the game that night. I had to switch out shoes and finish the game in my regular, I have blue and red Adidas. But I had to finish the game.
That's different. That's
so I will say that is a different situation. So if I seen a guy refereeing a game in white soles, and then I seen him next week, then I would say, okay, he's doing this on purpose. But until I know the situation, you know, Todd Gilmore one night blew out his pants. put him on. He was stretching, and right out the middle, just blew the middle out of the back of his pants.
Come on, TG.
And if it wasn't for somebody actually carrying 2 pairs of pants in their suitcase, Todd would have had to work that game either in whatever he wore that night, which I think were black air pants or black, dress pants. So he probably would have been fine. But I mean, there's circumstances that come up sometimes that, guys, I mean, I've seen guys leave the house. I left the house one night with my college jersey in because I worked the college game the night before. I forgot to put my high school shirt in. I had to work the game, I was out of uniform. It was the first time I ever done it, and I've never done it since, but I did do it once.
Well, for the record, PK, this particular official, I have personally seen him at 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
The first game, the Rocky Moline game at Rocky, he had the Adidas slacks on with the 3 white stripes and the Under Armour shoes. I saw him at Bettendorf versus West at Bettendorf, and he had them Under Armour white sole shoes on. So he's not forgetting his sneaks. He's just out of order.
He's just violating the...
He was also working the shootout as well. I don't remember if he was the Rocky game or what game, but he did work that. It was
the Rocky PV game.
Was it? Yeah.
And that's another thing, too. It's interesting that some of these officials that, from my opinion, talking about making a call, from my perspective and call as a former basketball coach, little former down Lindsay Park baller, playing hoop here, getting ran off of Rock Island, Rick Dankman, whatnot, all that. He gets assigned to specific games that have some type of say with who's going to win conference, who's going to get a ranking, i.e. the Moline Rocky game. A lot on the line, 2 top teams over there in Illinois, bragging rights, backyard. But he does both the Moline games, and at the Fieldhouse in Rock Island. He does the Iowa-Illinois shootout between Pleasant Valley, who is still undefeated, and the Rock Island Rocks, which there were some suspect calls made by he and his crew on said night.
But there always is when he referees Rocky games.
Yeah.
There always is.
Yeah.
There's always an issue.
And PK, you've called a tech or 2 on a player. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right? You've got a couple technical files to your statistical credit as an official. Right?
I got a couple under my belt. Yes, sir.
Okay. So in giving a T and teeing up a coach and or a player, have you ever got up in a player's face and talked to them demonstratively and given them the business as you're walking to the scorer's table to bring up that and register that technical foul with the scorer's table?
I don't think you can classify that as talking. He was yelling.
No, sir. Absolutely not.
This same said official that
short leash
has the inability or unwillingness to be in proper uniform. He gave Mr. Baker Beal a technical during the Iowa-Illinois shootout game. And like I said, in all my years of coaching, in all Army basketball level and the collegiate level, I've never seen an official jaw and get into banter with a player after teeing them up. Never. So
I think all he said was no, and he turned his head and his body language. Of course, Baker always got that body language, but it's not like he said BS call or anything. He just said no.
But the thing of it is like you're really going to go at it tooth and nail.
I can't remember.
Did 18-year-old?
Did he slam the ball? I can't remember.
No, that was Nimmers.
Okay, that was
Nimmers was on the ground and dribbled the ball between his legs.
Right. Oh yeah,
in control.
Two-hand dribble.
Two-hand dribble. And he teed him up.
PK, why do you tee him up for that?
Whoa. He teed him up for dribbling the ball between his legs?
Yeah, he was laying down on the ground. He was sitting down on the ground.
Loose ball, and they were going after it, and he called the foul on him.
Yep.
And he's just like, and he's dribbling it.
Just dribble the ball between his hands.
And then he gets up.
Not losing control of the ball. The ball he didn't slam it on the ground. It bounced up in the third row. He's just pop, dribbling it between his legs.
And then he went to get up
and teed him up.
Was it the same official that called the foul?
Yes.
Same set official that likes to rock Under Armour with Adidas pants.
I'm telling you, he's got a short fuse with Rock Island players and players who look like Rock Island players. To be honest,
based on the description you're giving me, no, I would not give a athlete a technical foul for that. No.
Well, I would assert that you do not practice imperialism while you're officiating,
and you wear all black shoes.
Yeah, because you know how to match Reeboks with
yeah. Yes, my pregame jacket. My pregame jacket is Jordan, and my shoes are Jordan.
That's what's up.
Okay.
But I only wear Adidas outside of there.
Okay, I ain't mad at you, but you don't rock them together, right?
No.
What about if you're going out to the front porch to get the mail? You know, are you rocking the Air Jordan house slippers and throwing your Reebok jacket?
This guy.
No. No, for the most part, no, I don't do that.
That's cool, man. See, there's a reason why we called you up, man. Why you called you in, man. That's what's up. So, man, have you, do you personally, I'm just, again, here comes Silk in my ear. I'm going to go ahead and say this for it.
Why do I know what you're going to ask?
You might. Do you personally believe, brother, that racism is a problem with officiating basketball? See how I got
in
quiet?
A sense, do I think there's officials?
Does PK Patrick Kelley, aka Patrick Kelley, PK? Do you believe that there is a racism problem, a racism issue with high school basketball officials?
Let's package it just a little bit different. Let's say, do you think the game is called different for certain teams and players?
Yes, I've witnessed it
to the level where sometimes they anticipate.
I witnessed it to the level where I didn't want to work with the guy no more, and I won't work with I won't work with that person anymore. I've witnessed it to that.
Because it was that on a blatant level.
Yeah, to where it's as bad as anticipating movements and I thought he was going to foul, so I.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And again, I got to go back to it. It never happened in my career while I was in Iowa. Some of my worst experiences have been since I've lived here in Arizona for 4 years.
If a kid, let me ask you, if a kid going up for a rebound, one kid's got position, but the kid in back can jump higher, and he jumps up higher and he gets the ball. He doesn't make contact. Is that over the back? Or do you have to or do you physically have to be on someone's back to get that call?
Exactly.
Because I've seen that called before.
Go ahead.
I've seen that called before where he just had hops and he went and got it. Didn't make contact, but they called over the back anyway.
It's so misused because I will never punish a kid for being able to jump higher than somebody else. I've walked by a coach before and he's like, well, why is that not a push? Why is that not a violation of pushing the back? And I'm like, because all he did was your player had the best position out of the both of them, but when he just sat there and waited for the ball to come to him, and the guy behind him out jumped him. I'm not going to penalize him. There was no contact.
No contact, right? With no contact.
Right. Yeah.
So to clean that up, you started to say something, and very good point. A lot of people will say over the back, and there's the actual call, two hands in like two hands in the air when you make it a call, and it's a gentle, it's like a push forward. So for the record, in actuality, what is that call when there is that rebound situation and that the player is physically on the other player's back gaining a rebound and there is that contact? What is the name of that call?
Push.
Thank you. And it's the two hands in the air, flat up, and then it's a little movement forward to indicate the push and contact.
Correct.
Yep.
It's just a push. You take your two hands, you push them forward, and that's a push.
Right. But yeah, I've what Silk just described, I have to co-sign to that as well. There's so many times that one set official will basically neutralize the athletic ability for the other player, and will call that a foul.
He's punishing him.
Punishing a kid for being athletic and being able to play.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've seen it a multitude of times from set officials.
I've seen it 100 times in my career in a week. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous. I've seen it. I've seen it even at the collegiate level where a guy, they'll show the replay and he didn't even touch him. He just out jumped him.
Right. It's a sad thing. And, we could sit here all day and slice and dice this, and we could think of, what can we do to resolve it? But really and truthfully, I don't really see a true end in sight on this subject matter.
Not with this.
Outside of exposing it, which said official, and boy, I can't wait.
Luckily, it's just a couple of guys, though. It's not.
It's a couple bad apples.
It's not too many.
It goes back to my police remark.
Yeah, very true.
Yep, sustained.
A couple bad apples can make everybody. You can be a really good official. You can work your ass off and study the book, even though you studied it last year. I look at the book every single year. I've been looking at the rule book for 25 years straight. I know the rule book almost by the back of my hand, but I still look at it. I still go over scenarios. I do everything to study up. I study up for what I have to do, and I can get on the floor tomorrow night with two guys, one that's maybe in his first or second or third year, one that's on his way out the door from retirement, or somebody who's just not good, and that somebody like that can make the whole crew look bad.
Speak on it.
You guys are terrible. You guys are terrible. And I'm out there working my ass off. I walk into a gym every single night, and I don't care. And I'm telling you, this is across the board for the most part with most officials. I don't care who wins that basketball game. My job is to be the best, us three to be the best team on the floor tonight. I want to be better than the offensive team, and I want to be better than the defensive team. And if I call a foul in the first minute, that same foul is a foul in the last minute.
Praise, that's what's up. That's what's up right there, man. That's why.
And the other thing I think that most people have to realize about officials, because there's a lot of people that walk out of a gym in a 57 to 55 game saying, we could have won that game if the official wouldn't have made that call the last minute or the last 3 seconds, whatever, right? No. Okay. Yeah. So I always sum it up, and I'm like, coach, because if it's a coach saying something to me, or if it's, or I'm talking to myself on the drive home as I'm doing my post game in the car, as I'm reliving it. And I'm like, you know what? Show me your stats. How many times you turn the ball over in the last minute?
Thank you.
How many free throws did you miss in the last minute?
Facts.
How many times did you let somebody blow by you for a layup? How many fouls did you commit? So, were you perfect? I mean, some people just have to remember that the game is officiated by human beings just by being played by human beings. Well, I've made calls in the last minute where they were costly, but I'm thinking, you know what? You guys just missed the front end of a one-on-one 4 times in a row, and you lost by 2.
They call them free for a reason.
Yeah. They call them free for free. You got to knock down them free throws, But I don't want to blow my whistle in that last 5 seconds on a kid committing a foul. But I also don't want the kid that got fouled to be punished because it's the last 5 seconds.
Well said.
Wow. So when you say that, I can't help but think, I know you're out there, probably didn't see this, but last week there was a play, Illinois versus Ohio State, where Illinois guard drove to the basket, 5 seconds left. He goes up for the shot. He's body checked out of bounds by the Ohio State player. No call.
I did see it.
Oh, you did see it? Trent Frazier went in for the layup. And he
Yeah,
he was obviously bumped. Now, I know there's a rule of verticality when the guy jumps straight up, but this particular player, he went up and toward the shooter, and he bumped him.
He created the contact.
Exactly. That should have been called. No doubt.
Yep. And you'll get that argument sometimes of people who are like, well, you can't make that call on their home floor, let it go to overtime. Well, no, you can. If it's a foul in the first 5 seconds of the game, it's a foul in the last 5 seconds of the game.
Right.
And there's people that will not say a single word if you make a foul call. The first foul you make at the beginning of the game for a hand check or for something like that will not be as vocally or
will not be scrutinized
as if it's the last 30 seconds of the game. If it's a tie basketball game.
How about this? Back to Illinois again. Referees in the Big Ten tell Coach Underwood about Kofi being fouled. Well, Coach, we could call that foul all game long. So sometimes it's a foul, and sometimes it isn't. Because because they're doing hack a Shaq or hack a Kofi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that explanation just blows my mind. Well, we could call that
a terrible explanation.
Well, it kills me.
It's a terrible explanation.
Speaking of Shaq, like, in the league back in the day where it's a foul on Shaq, it's not a foul on Shaq, but it's a foul on Jordan. Why does size matter in terms of what being a foul? If you're going up for a shot and I smack your hand,
that's a foul.
Whether it impedes the basket, you make it or you miss it. I see so many times you're up in the stands and you hear the foul.
You can hear it.
And they wait to see if the bucket goes down.
Right.
Yeah, that patient whistle. Patient whistle.
Now it's to the point for Kofi that other coaches are coaching their kids to foul. Hit him in his arms every time. If we do it 10 times, they'll maybe call it twice.
Maybe it's worth
now they're coaching people to do that because you can't deal with him. He's 7 foot 290. Now they're telling their kids to do that. That means the referees have lost control. Right.
It's like the moving screen. Keep doing the moving screen until he calls it on you.
Exactly.
And then do it again because he might let it go this time, and then the next time he might call on you. Hey. Well, then okay, maybe we better back it off a little bit, but take a couple fouls doing that moving screen because you're not a constant fouler. See how long you can get away with it.
As a coach, if I could get a 3-point shot, go ahead and move that screen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Make them call it. Yep.
Exactly. Make them make that call. That's why you got to referee the first minute like you do the last minute. You got to be ready to referee as soon as you step on the floor. Sometimes I have even been guilty of being on the floor and thinking, you know what? Let's see what happens here. Let these guys, decide how this game's going to get. Let them decide the flow of this game. I don't want to go out here and put the whistle up on the first foul right away. Unless it's a blatant foul or something like that. Let's just see what happens. Let's see how well they play. I've been guilty of that. I'll be honest. I've been guilty of that.
While you're being honest, I think we had the conversation previously, and I know viewers, at least myself, as a participant watching games, sometimes you can get caught up in certain aspects of the game. So as an official, has there ever been a player that captivated you because of their athletic prowess that they just it looked like they were going to jump and keep going? Did you ever get caught up in watching a player and wow, did he really just do that? And because of that, it kind of maybe tweaked you to throw your focus off a little bit.
I would think Ricky Davis, but I don't know if he's officiated.
So Ricky lived 5 houses away from me growing up out on 69th Street in Division.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I was playing, what did he graduate? 96, I want to say?
Yep.
Yeah. 96, 97. He graduated somewhere 96, 97, 98. Well, I came in 96. So like I said, I didn't go straight into I didn't go straight into varsity basketball in 96.
Okay.
It took me a couple years. So it was 98, 99. I mean, I got lucky. I was fortunate. I progressed really fast. But anyway, Ricky was gone by the time I was refereeing varsity game.
Any other player
so I didn't get the pleasure.
That had you on, that crossover, or did he just jump up in the box and get that rebound? I mean, or he just dunked the ball and his elbow was over the rim. Was there any players out there that just had your mouth drop into the court?
Yeah, there's. I would say right now probably 3 come to mind. Marcus Page is one of them. And now he didn't play in the, obviously, he didn't play in the MAC. So I only got to be on the floor twice with him.
Okay.
But both of those games, he was a man against boys. I mean, it was just, he was incredible. Geo Butler, he played at Davenport Central and Davenport West, I think.
Okay.
He might have transferred one of those.
You're
that
right.
kid could jump.
I think you're right.
He could jump up on my 2-story roof. That kid could jump out of the building.
Man.
I mean, I just didn't know when he jumped out, I didn't know when he was coming down.
Man,
So I really liked watching him, and he was a real pleasant kid.
Central always has athletes like that, man. They do. They just reload.
Hal was awesome.
They never win, but they reload.
Yes, Hal, you had some of his games.
Hal is so good and such a respectable person. I mean, he's that was early for me. So that was early in my career. So Hal probably don't even remember me being on the floor, but my experience with Hal was on the bench as a coach.
Okay.
Because he worked under Craig.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know what Hal's doing now, but I know he worked under Craig when I was there.
He is a Davenport police officer. Yes.
Are you kidding me? Good for him.
He utilized his education at Austin P, his degree that he got, and he's in law enforcement. Shouts out for Hal. I really personally, being a little biased, wish he was still on the Davenport Central coaching staff. I know he would be an excellent coach. 5'9", 5'10", jumping out of the gym. In fact,
Lord knows they need some coaching over there.
Yeah, so that's another show. But yeah, he's.
So my last person is probably who I watched the whole time, and that's Joe Wieskamp at Muscatine.
Yes.
I watched him from start to finish. I was doing his AAU games when he was in 7th and 8th grade, even though I had kind of backed off doing young kid stuff at that time. But he's probably still the best player, because he could do everything.
Joe Weezy from Cheesy.
He's probably as good as anybody that I've ever seen. And obviously, I had Harrison Barnes once on the floor years back.
Man, child. Number one recruiting player in the nation.
I could probably sit here and go through a lot of athletes that I remember. A couple of Bettendorf. Dylan Sortillo was one of them. He was a fantastic kid.
He was nice.
So, to shoot it, he could shoot it. He'd shoot the heck out of it.
Okay. Well, man, that's awesome food for thought, man. So Silk, you got any other questions for Mr. PK?
No. He's been on point.
Man,
I appreciate the insight.
I know you guys had mentioned something about the interaction with coaches.
Yes.
You know what? Speaking of that, bro.
Was
there any adversarial encounters that you had? Is there because see, I would be shocked and amazed if there was a coach that had a problem with you personally in your officiating because you were so on point.
Well, let's package it different. Let's ask it like this: were there teams or a coach that you got the game and you're like, oh man, this guy. He's gonna cry and complain about every dang call.
There's got to be a couple. Keep in mind, you're in Arizona. You're free from the area.
Yeah,
So go on and speak on it. Was there any of those type of coaches?
Call a spade a spade.
You've seen the movie Life. I am not scared. I don't care. I ain't scared of nobody.
Don't be scared.
Jagalang.
There was coaches when I came to the gym that I knew how they were going to be, and for the most part, yes, you're right. I didn't have really any individualistic problems with coaches. I pretty much got along with all of them, and they were all pretty respectful to me and vice versa.
Okay.
There were certain coaches that I knew were going to push until you gave them the stop sign and said, okay, I've heard enough tonight. Made your point. Next time you say travel, you're going to wish you didn't. Stuff like that. Like stop refereeing, start coaching. I came here to referee this game. I'm doing the best I can for you, but you're making it more difficult by yelling at me every time I'm down the floor. Be quiet, just give it a rest now and concentrate on coaching. All right, I'm not going to tell you how to sub. I'm not going to tell you should put this kid in. So don't try to tell me how to do my crap.
Strong rebuttals.
Okay.
So I've had to have I've had to have that conversation with some coaches.
That's fair.
But most coaches, we had a small talk about blowing a call. One that really always sticks out for me is I was at Davenport Central one night, and this was back in the Craig Werder days, and I made a call, and Craig came unglued to the point to where he didn't get to the technical point, but he was teetering, and he was really close. and he said something to me, and
really
I walked over
because he's
Yeah,
kind of
I walked-
soft.
Yeah, I walked up to him, calm as Kool-Aid, and I said, Craig, I would do anything to be able to see this on film. You're going to get to see it on film before me. And I told him, I said, tonight after this game, I'm going to blah, 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 blah to have a blah, 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 blah. First one's on me if I was wrong. And he showed up, and I didn't know he was there. And I'm sitting here at this bar, and the next thing you know, she puts a drink on my counter right in front of me.
Oh, wow.
Now,
I wish
probably worked. That has probably worked in reverse in my career. Don't get me wrong, because I've used it many times, Coach.
That's a great way to handle it.
I might have blown that one. You know what? I'll buy your first drink if you're ever in the same bar as me. I may have blown that one, but you know we're going to move on. We're going to go on to the next play. We're not talking about that no more.
That's too real.
That and the ref that says, you know, Coach, I think I might have missed that one. My bad.
Yeah, I've said that.
Those
I've said it 100
two
times.
refs, you can't do anything but respect that.
Yeah,
Salute.
you have to be. Every referee needs to be that way. Every referee needs to say, "Look,
Own it.
I blew this call. Don't own it. Yes, don't. You ain't too proud. You can't be too proud or above saying that you made a mistake. I mean, there's not a referee out there, whether he's worked 1 year or 25 years, that hasn't made a mistake on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Blew the whistle when he shouldn't have, or not blown the whistle when he should have.
Hey.
Real quick.
Basically, most referees do it a couple times a night.
Absolutely. Real quick, does it bother you, like, say if you've been jawing back and forth with a coach, he's been complaining, and you make a call and the kid misses the free throw, and the coach says, "The ball don't lie. The ball always tells the truth. See there? The ball don't lie." Or is that just like,
everybody's saying that now?
Or is that just like it just rolls right off? You just kind of laugh it off.
For me, after 25 years, man, that's a squeegee for me, man. I don't let anything a coach says to me bother me anymore.
That's what's
you can say just about anything to me. You know, I don't. For the most part, you know what I mean. You can't use those 4-letter words. And my theory on 4-letter words is if I can hear it and you can hear it, I might say, hey, look, this usually with players. Some kid who goes and blows a layup and he says, under his breath, he says, shit. You know, I'm like, hey, you know what? That's an automatic technical. I'm going to let you get away with this one because only me and you heard it. And the fans, but you do that out loud with the F word, the S word, any word that is considered a 4-letter cuss word, that's an automatic technical in high school basketball. You cannot do it.
Great teaching moment right there.
Yeah. But it is a teaching moment. Everything as an official should be a teaching moment. A kid tells you, a kid will ask you, what did I do? You tell him what he did. Tell him what you've seen so he understands. You got to, some referees won't even let you talk to him. Like, no, you have to explain to these kids because he's going to go up and do the same thing until somebody takes the time to tell him what he's doing wrong.
And if you can't articulate it, if you can't tell him what he's doing wrong or, you know, what he should do, that kind of takes a shot at your credibility to that player, to that coach, and to the fan that can hear.
I'm not above you. I'm not above you, young man. If you need to know what you did, I'll even initiate the conversation sometimes. A kid will be like, he'll put his hands up, but he won't come to me and ask. Because some people are just taught not to go talk to the referees because they think they're going to get technical. Right. I'll try to pull them aside and say, hey, if you want an explanation, I'll tell you, this is what I've seen. This is what you did. You know, you jumped up there and blocked that shot clean as day, but where was your left hand? Watch it on film. When your left hand's on his hip and you're pushing him at the same time, when people see breakaways and they see dunks or they see blocks at the basket, they're only watching that right hand going up there trying to block that shot.
Yeah, what's up top?
What's that left hand doing? That left hand a lot of time is on a lower back, their hip. They're giving them a little extra shove, running them off balance. You have, I mean, that's as an official, you're watching waist up and waist down. You got one referee that's supposed to watch waist down to catch that travel, and you got the other referee on that side trying to work waist up, trying to catch everything above that.
Good point.
So you have to watch both hands. Yeah. Hey, I got caught up. Hey, man, nice block. Guess what? You got to keep your other hand off of them. Right. You can't hip them. You know, you can't give them a chance. Make that block a block. You were going to block that shot. Another one is these 6'10" kids that can block shots without doing it, and they go up and swing as hard as they can on a 5'10" kid shooting. Just go straight up. You're going to block every shot. You don't need to swing and rake across their arm. You know, so that it's teaching moments. You just got to talk these guys through it.
Good points, PK. Man, I wish you were still back here officiating. Maybe if we had more officials like you back here, we probably wouldn't even be doing this show, man. Real talk. I appreciate
I
you.
appreciate those kind words. I appreciate those kind words.
No problem.
I appreciate
man.
that.
No problem. They are justified. Yeah. Well, man, on behalf of us here at Food for Thought, man, we appreciate you taking the time to call us and share your knowledge, wisdom, and expertise with us, man. We appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you calling me and thinking of me on this. If you do another one like this next year, next month, whatever, man, my phone number is always going to be the same. Call me whenever you want.
We might be doing a little March Madness thing here, possibly.
Yeah, we're going to get into March Madness. We have to touch that.
Yeah, in fact, absolutely. Well, man,
You can meet me over in Vegas in 2 weeks if you want, Todd. I'm going up to watch my godson play the Big West tournament.
There you go, Monsignor. You can jump on that plane and go.
There you go. Yeah, man, I'm tired up, man. I'm tired up, bro. But hey, appreciate you. Shouts out to your lovely wife, man. Y'all enjoy that Arizona sun out there. While we're back here in the
AZ.
enjoying the Arizona tea. Unofficial sponsor of Food for Thought.
That's right.
All right. Peace
I'll
out.
catch you
guys.
my next trip back there. All right. Y'all be good.
Thanks, PK.
Thanks again. All right, be guys.